Morning. Morning. Good morning. Morning, everybody.
Morning.
Oh, wait a second. Hello, hello. Everybody's getting on board. We'll wait a couple seconds since there's just a few of you. One more minute. We'll wait till we get going. Okay, there's not that many of us today. Only 15. All right, hope everybody had an awesome spring break. There's a couple things I want to talk about. The first, a couple of you had sent to me, how come your grades changed a bit? Because I had to do midterm grades, I had to go in and change everything that was considered a dash to a 0. It meant it wasn't there in the grade book. So when it's a dash, it doesn't count. But when it's a 0, then it counts. So at midterm and at final, I go in, and if you missed anything, that dash turns to a 0 and it changes the point spread. So that's what I did this week. I changed anything that you missed to a 0, and that's why a grade might have changed. Does anybody have any questions about that? Y'all good? Okay. Second, we are going to talk about your paper, which is due in 2 weeks, because now, if you haven't started doing anything about it, now is the time to start working on it. So let's go to, let me share my screen. Let's go to, well, we'll go here just because I can't get, oh, I can't get it. There we go. So let's go to week 10. Now this is on here for you so that you guys can see all of these things. All of these documents. So you know you have the article literature review due week 10. So what that basically is your literature review paperwork. Remember, you did that first literature review, right? You find a second article through Psych InfoNet. Now remember, you have to get your article from Psych InfoNet. Somebody, I can't remember who exactly, but somebody didn't go through Psych InfoNet and did their first research worksheet on an article that had nothing to do with psychology. You have to pick your second article from Psych InfoNet that correlates somehow to your first article, and then you are writing a paper that combines the 2 articles. So here's a suggested outline for your literature review paper. So you start with an introduction, which is basically explaining why you're doing this paper. Then you're going to talk about the introduction and discussion sections from your research worksheet put together. Then you're going to talk about implications and applications, which is, why are these findings important? What would be the takeaway from these results? What are some future research that might improve this? Then your conclusion and your references, APA style. You lose points right away if your APA style is wrong. Questions about this so far? Nobody, huh? Here's how you're being graded. So you can see exactly how you're being graded. Here is how you break the articles down. Basically, that's what I showed you already, right? Here's an extra research worksheet if you want to do it for your articles. Remember, this is all sitting there in chapter 10 for you. Okay. This is what your paper is going to look like. You're going to have the title of your paper, your name, Middlesex County College, and the date. Up at the top, at the running head, you write the brief title in all caps. That's page 1. Page 2, brief title at the top, the word abstract, and then the abstract you are writing about your paper, not the abstract from your article, the abstract that you are writing about your paper. Page 3, title. Then you're going to, and it tells you information about how to write this paper. You are supposed to have it centered in 12-point Times New Roman. Do not underline your title. Check that your margins are set to 1 inch. It's telling you everything you're supposed to do about this paper. So the next part is you're writing about your paper. Then you have conclusions and future research. Okay. This is telling you about the headings, and this is telling you about the citation. And then there's your references. It's not a long paper. You just have to do it the right way. Let's see. So did we do this one? Hold on. Let me just double check which one. I think we did this one. Yep. I think we did this one. Yep. Let's see what this one is. Oh, where'd it go? Let's see what these are. Oh, failed no file. Okay. We will delete this. I'll do that after. All right, so those are the 2. Let's ask questions now. I'll take those 2 others off because there's no file there. They're just repeats. Questions? Not one person has a question about this paper.
I think I got it for the most part.
Okay, good, Jake. Nobody else?
When is it due again?
It is due week 10.
Okay.
And actually, the actual week 10 is basically we're going to go over what's due again, and then your assignments are all just about writing that paper. So you don't have a whole chapter to do in addition to week 10. Just the paper is due week 10. So it's not bad. It's not bad for you. It means I have to read all the papers week 10, but for you guys, you've got the extra time to do it. So you have a couple quizzes about how to research and write a paper. And then the actual thing that to do is your article literature review. Then after week 10, I open up week 15 for you. And week 15 is when you do a PowerPoint presentation on your paper. It's not bad. You used to have to present in front of the class, but now you just send me a PowerPoint presentation. So questions about your paper that you should start cracking on now?
That'll be due this Saturday.
I'm sorry, say that again.
That'll be due this Saturday.
That'll be due that Saturday. Let's see. Let's just look. Does it have the date that it's due? Yep. So it's due April 10th, but I made it available to February 28th. So it's due April 10th.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Sure. Charles, did you have a question?
Yeah, at one point you mentioned something had to be censored in the paper. Do you mean like the overall text?
No, it says on that worksheet that I attached in here that the title needs to be centered and it needs to be a specific font and a specific point, and it needs to be centered and not underlined. Like, they're very specific that what they want you to do.
Okay.
Okay, but the key here is making sure you're getting your second article through the psych info on the library. Remember, that's where you have to get your second article from. Any other questions? No? Okay, so we are going to, we're going to do chapter 12 today, which is on stress and health. Oops, let me go to chapter 12 and just show you what to do for this week. Let's go to chapter 12. Okay. Oopsie. No, we're in week 8, but week 8. I'm sorry, I called it chapter 12 because that's in my notes from the textbook, but it's week 8, stress, lifestyle, and health. So this, you're going to have a study plan and a quiz, but your assignment is different. And I really need you guys to pay attention to what you have to do for your assignment, because it's something totally different, like you've never done before. So in addition to your study plan and your quiz, you have an assignment on stress, lifestyle, and health. And that's due on Saturday night at midnight. And what you have to do is, starting today, you don't have to start it yesterday, but starting today, you have to do one of these three activities, okay? The first activity is that you keep a log of all your activities from today to Saturday, starting with the start of your day to your end of your day. Then you're going to decide whether what you did was either a commitment, which is something you have to do, upkeep, which is something that you do to stay healthy, or an elective, something you choose to do. Okay, so in this log, you're going to either list your activities in chronological order and write next to them what is commitment, what is upkeep, and what is elective, okay? After you do that, then you make a separate list of the whole week and you decide which of those things were time wasters for the week, and a separate list of strategies that might help you manage your time better, okay? So commitment, upkeep, elective, decide what is time wasters and what is a good strategy, okay? Just from Tuesday to Saturday or whenever. Well, yeah, I mean, we can make it Tuesday to Friday because I'm not encouraging you to have to enter it on Saturday. So let's do Tuesday to Friday to make it easier for you, so you don't feel like you have to do it on the weekend, okay? Tuesday to Friday. That's your first option. Your second option is, for Tuesday to Friday, you are going to make a list of everything you want to accomplish each day. So each day you're going to start off the day with things you would like to accomplish, and then you're going to check off if you complete it. Okay. At the end of the week, you're going to write a 25 to 50 word summary on how well you prioritized or didn't prioritize your to-do list for each day. Okay. So you're doing an analysis. So you have to talk about your priorities and your time management. That's option number 2. Option number 3 is, based on what you read in the book, you're going to find another resource. You have to find a second resource. And you're going to write about how you can learn to manage your stress. So you have to write at least 200 words and cite the additional reference that you used. So just to review, option number 1 is to log all your activities and categorize it in the list. Option number 2 is to every day start off with what you would like to accomplish for the day, check off, and then write a summary about priorities and time management. Option number 3, writing a 200-word summary using a second resource. You still have to use what you read in the text, but then add another resource and talk about strategies that you can use to manage stress. Questions?
Professor,
Yes.
I just wanted to come in and tell you that I can't, this isn't any question, it's more of a comment, but I can't stay for class today. My mom just got shoulder surgery and I have to help her.
No problem. So Hannah, I post the entire lecture every single time on this the chapter, so you can actually watch it. You won't be able to play our games today. We have games today, but I hope your mom feels better.
Thank you.
Okay, bye. All right, questions about your assignments? Does everybody understand that it is 3 different assignments and you pick one?
Yes.
Good. Good. Okay, so let's jump into, I can't believe how few of us, this is like half, but maybe we can get to our game and you can win something. So thanks for coming. All right, so we are studying in this chapter stress and health. And I don't think that it's a huge surprise that you know that your stress level affects your actual physical health. And when we're studying this, we're studying health psychology. When we study health psychology, we're studying biological, psychological, social factors that contribute to health and illness. So, does anybody know what stress actually is? What is stress?
Frustration.
Being overwhelmed.
Those are all good answers. Anybody else? Stress is actually one thing, and it starts with an R. What do you think stress is? That starts with an R. Starts with an R. What is it?
A reaction.
It is a reaction or a response. Exactly. Stress is actually your reaction or your response, because there are 15 of us on this right now. And if something stressful happened, let's just say that we had a power outage right now, and I might react very differently than you guys. You might be like, woohoo, no class, I'm out. And I might be like, oh my God, I have to teach them. This is my responsibility. So how you react or you respond to a challenge or a threat is actually stress. So if you really break it down, it's really something really simple. And it's basically your response or your reaction to a perceived threat or challenge. Now, as I just used in that example, you guys probably wouldn't think of it as a challenge or a threat, but I would, right? So it's all about how you react. And then that like strain is what can cause psychological, physiological, that's your biology, right? or an emotional reaction. Does everybody get that? So stress is just a response or a reaction. When we talk about a stressor, that's a cause. So obviously you have your stress is your response, your stressor is the cause. And it could take whatever form that is going to affect you. It could be, if your phone is dead, it might affect somebody in this room way more than somebody else. If you're a mother and you're out and your kids are home alone, having a dead phone is going to cause a lot more stress than somebody that couldn't care less, right? It might be another external something. It might be your finances, or maybe even taking a test in psychology or one of your classes. That's like an external stressor. But you can also have internal stressors, like you might not trust your boyfriend, your girlfriend. You know, those are like internal stresses. There might not be anything external about it. It's just a feeling inside, but it's definitely a stressor. And it's perceived. It's a perceived threat. Is there such a thing as good stress? Is there such a thing as good stress?
No.
There is. When you are getting married, it's for good, right? It's because you want to get married and it's going to be a great day, right? Yes. I'm going to ask you guys to turn on your cameras if you don't start answering me. So when you're doing something that is good, it still can cause stress. Getting married, starting a new job, having a baby, these are all good things, but they still cause stress. When we talk about good stress, it's called eustress. It's called eustress. It is good stress, or it's a positive stressor. Now, when we talk about an unpleasant stressor, it's called stress, but you've heard the word distress. That kind of goes with it. So it's usually eustress and distress, but we just shortened it to stress because good and bad affects the body the same. When you're starting a new job, you are nervous, you want to do well, it is affecting your body. It's good stuff. I don't think that anybody would be shocked on here to know that an increase in stress increases a possible negative outcome. So life events that are stressful can affect your physical health. So I'd like to do a student stress test for you to see how stressful you guys are. Okay. So I'm going to ask you guys to get a piece of paper in front of you. I am going to read to you a life-changing unit. Okay, so we're going to use this semester. Okay, since it's a student stress scale. If any of these things happened this semester, I want you to write down the point value assigned. Okay. At the end, we're going to calculate your total life-changing units, and then we're going to tell you about your health status. Okay. Are you ready? Does everybody have a piece of paper and a pen? And let me know if you need me to wait.
I got mine.
Me too.
Do I need to wait for anybody? All right, let's go. All right, so I'm going to mention an event, and then I'm going to mention the point value. If this has happened to you this semester, please write down the point value. Death of a close family member, 100 points. Death of a close friend, 73 points. Divorce between parents, 65 points. Jail or being put in jail, 63 points. Major personal injury or illness, 63 points. Marriage, 58 points. Being fired from your job, 50 points. Failing a course, 47 points. Change in health of a family member, 45 points. Pregnancy. And when I say pregnancy, it could be you being pregnant, or it could be somebody that you could be a guy and your girlfriend could be pregnant. 45 points. Sex problems, 44 points. Serious argument with a close friend, 40 points. Change in financial status, 39 points. Change of major, 39 points. Trouble with parents, 38 points. New girlfriend or boyfriend, 38 points. Increased workload at school, 37 points. Outstanding personal achievement, 36 points. Remember, that's eustress. It's still stress, but it's good stress. 36 points for outstanding personal achievement. First semester of college, 35 points. Change in living conditions, 31 points. Serious argument with an instructor, 30 points. Thank goodness nobody in here got that from me. Lower grades than expected, 29 points. Change in sleeping habits, 29 points. Change in social activities, 29 points. Change in eating habits, 28 points. Chronic car trouble, 26 points. Change in number of family get-togethers, 26 points. I think you guys are going to see a trend here due to COVID, because there's a lot of change due to COVID. And this is why we say that COVID is actually affecting people psychologically and physically because of the stress level, right? Too many missed classes, 25. Change of college, 24. Dropping of more than one class, 23. Minor traffic violation, 20. Now I'm gonna ask you to add them all up, and then I'm gonna go around, I'm gonna ask you, and I'm gonna keep a tally of where you guys fall on this scale. And then I'll tell you.
Miss, what was the points for chronic car trouble again?
Chronic car trouble was 26.
All right, thanks.
Hold on, just check it. Yep, 26. All right, everybody doing the math?
Yeah, I got mine.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna just go around. Jake, what's your points?
63.
Okay. Michaela, what's your points?
I'm adding them up.
Okay, I'll wait.
So we're supposed to add up all the numbers and then say the number?
Yep,
I got 640.
you got 640?
Yeah.
Holy Toledo. Moaz, what's your points? Moaz,
263.
okay. Hagar, what's your points? Hagar. Hello, Hagar. Ay, 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 Hagar. I'll send you an email. Anisha.
174.
174. Reagan. Reagan, what's your points? All right, Reagan. Guys, signing in and walking away from your computer is not okay. So you'll be getting an email. Bryce.
163.
Okay. Sager. Oh, okay, Reagan, you are here. Good. Reagan, what's your number? 120. Okay. All right. Sager. Tori.
123.
Okay. Carriel.
294.
Ooh, you just hit the cusp. Okay, Adrian.
293.
93, nice and low. Charles.
73.
Wow, nice job, guys. You are low on stress. Stephanie.
471.
4.
Yeah, 471.
Yikes. Anthony.
173.
Okay. And Lena, I think you joined in the middle, right?
Yeah, but I kind of get the gist of it. I added it up. I think I got 118.
Okay. I think you missed the beginning of them, so you're probably on the high side. So what it says is people with scores of 300, Michaela and Stephanie, yikes, you have a super high health risk. Okay. You have got to lower that stress, peeps, because you are on the path to having something physically wrong because of your stressors. Now, again, we're going to talk about coping mechanisms and stuff like that, but you obviously have some super high stress. People scoring between 150 and 300, which was the majority of you, have a 50-50 chance of a serious health change within 2 years. So if this is your stress level between 150 and 300 ongoing, that within 2 years, it's like a 50% chance that you will have a serious health risk. People scoring below 150, are the best. They have the least chance of a serious health change. So again, we'll talk about coping mechanisms, which is how you deal with stress. And people that have good coping mechanisms can deal with it. And I'll give you an example of that. A mother who has a disabled child, that's a very stressful situation, okay? And it's not going to change in their life. It's ongoing. So there's nothing that they can do about their life circumstances. It's how they can continue to think about it and continue to cope. And if they learn proper coping mechanisms, then it isn't a stress anymore. It's just their norm. Do you understand that? So let's talk a little bit more about the stress, but Michaela and Stephanie, please try and lower your stress. So a really common stress disorder is post-traumatic stress disorder. I'm sure you guys have heard of it, PTSD. It used to be called just, they changed some of the names of it. I believe it's now called PTSAD or PTASD because the anxiety's in there. They changed the name, they added some stuff. It's really big with EMTs and people in the military and firefighters. It's a psychological disorder characterized by exposure to, most of the time, or being threatened by an event. So people that are in the military or are firemen, they face death or serious injury quite often. Another type of PTSD has to do with any sort of sexual violence because that is exposure or a threat. So some of the things that happen are nightmares, flashbacks, depression, grief, anxiety, all of those things happen, which are responses to the stress. So people have reoccurring memories, they have dreams with emotion. In other words, you have a dream, but there's emotion, flashbacks, any sort of psychological distress when reminded, and a physical reaction. So Hagar, you did decide to join us. Yes, Hagar, where were you? Go ahead, your hand's raised, Hagar, go. Hagar. No. All right, type if you're not going to get on. Okay, so we're going to keep going with chronic stressors. So these are the things that are just going to keep happening in your life, like your children are stressful. You might have a really tough boss, or you might have something physical that is stressful for you. I don't know if anybody in the class has asthma. Does anybody have asthma?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay.
do too.
All right. So a few of you, Stephanie, Lena, you guys have asthma. That's a stressor. That's a chronic stressor because you could just be doing whatever you have to do to go about the day, and out of the blue, all of a sudden you're having trouble breathing. Am I right?
Yeah, it's annoying.
Right. So that's a stressor. And it's also something that's probably not going to go away. So you have to learn to deal with it, right? So one of the biggest stressors is people that are in poverty. So poverty is considered anybody who makes under $12,000 a year or $24,000 a year for a family of four. Now try to think about that. $24,000 a year for a family of four. That's nothing. It would be hard to live on that for a family of four. Think about rent, think about utilities, think about a car insurance, gas, food. Like really think about how that is a lot for $24,000 for a family of four. So 21% of kids live below poverty level, which is a lot. 1/5 of our nation are kids that live below poverty level. And obviously they don't have the right nutrition. They're not healthy because of that. There's an increase in violence and a decrease in education. So because they don't do as well in school and they often have behavior problems, they don't stay in school and they don't do so well. So I think that there's probably a few of you, if I remember correctly from our first day from Two Truths and a Lie, there are a few people that came from different countries. They migrated to the United States in this class, and they had to go through what's known as a acculturation. Did anybody come to the United States when they were young or even a little bit older and have to go through the stress of acculturation? Does anybody remember that? Nobody? Okay. Well, that is a chronic stressor. That is a stressor for you. We don't think about it that way, but it is a big stressor, because you have to assimilate and integrate, and you might face discrimination. And the more social support you have, the easier it is. Everybody has what's known as daily hassles. Those are minor and regularly occurring problems that can act as stressors. So if you're a clean person and your house is messy, then that's a daily hassle. Not that we're driving so much these days, but if you hearken back when you were in traffic, wasn't that a hassle? That's a stressor. How many times are you looking for something that you lost? Like you can't find your car keys, or you put your cell phone down, or your glasses down, or something somewhere, and you're looking for them. That's a stress. It's a little daily stress, but it is a stressor. And so to combat those stressors, we talk about uplifts, positive experiences that make you happy. So when you're stressed out, if you think about something that makes you happy or makes you smile, you will actually be able to combat that stress. I'm going to let your book talk about some of these things. We're talking about your fight or flight system when we're talking about stressors. We're talking about your parasympathetic system, and you have a system of there called the general adaptation syndrome. So that's when your body physically reacts to the stressor. So your body jumps into the alarm stage, which is your body's initial response, and your body prepares with the threat. So, with fight or flight, when your systems all kick in, your body is getting ready for that. Then you hit what's known as the resistance stage, which is where the health impact happens, and you either adapt or not. And then you can go to this exhaustion stage where you all of a sudden your body resources completely deplete. Do you think your immune system is affected by stress? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does anybody think no? Nope. Okay, good. Because your immune system is definitely affected by stress. So just to give you on the bare minimum, your spleen is affected, your lymph nodes are affected, your bone marrow is affected by stress. You fight illness with white blood cells. If you are super stressed, your white blood cell count goes down. So that is when we say that stress affects your body, we're talking about your white cells going down. You're more susceptible to illness. What do you think an ulcer is caused by? What's an ulcer caused by? Anyone? No one has a guess on it?
It's like a hole inside the stomach.
Right. And what's it caused by?
Eating too much oil or fat foods.
No, an ulcer isn't caused by fatty foods. An ulcer could be caused by what? Stress. An ulcer is caused by the acids in your stomach. And I mean, sometimes you can have like an allergy or an infection or H. pylori that causes them, but you can also get an ulcer because of stress. Here's another indication where your psychological affects your physical. If you have cancer, which is a huge stressor, you increase your risk for stress. Okay? Cardiovascular disease, your heart, increased blood pressure, increased risk. Why would your blood pressure be higher? Stress. Okay, so we're talking about promoting cardiovascular health and decreasing stress. Is exercise a combatant to stress? Yes or no?
Yes.
Most definitely, yes. Here's an interesting one. Is alcohol a stress reliever?
Well, that's what they say.
No.
It is actually. Alcohol, now we talk about moderation. Alcohol is a depressant. So if you are stressed and you drink, it will suppress your stress a little bit. It's not a good choice, but I have to be honest with you that it is considered a stress reliever. What about smoking?
Yeah, it is.
It is, but it's also a stressor. So smoking falls into both categories, and actually alcohol can kind of fall in, everything in moderation, but smoking does relieve stress, but it's also a stressor because of addiction and tolerance, which is the same thing that we're talking about with even the alcohol. So when we talk about stress hormone, your stress hormone, the name of it is called cortisol. I'll write that down for you because it's important. So you're learning about this stuff because it's got to do with psychology, but in reality, I'm taking the time with you because you guys need to do this for yourselves so that you stay healthy. So yes, it's psychology, but I'm way more interested in you guys being healthy. Cortisol. Cortisol is your stress hormone. So we need to minimize cortisol in your body. That's what we need to do. And we're going to play a game in a little bit. So actually, moms can pass stress on to babies. If a mother is exposed to like a natural disaster or trauma or some extreme stressor, they can pass stress on to their babies in utero. Babies that are in high stressful in utero environments can be born premature, which means they'll probably be born with low birth weight and lower cognitive development, which often equals behavior difficulties in life. So it's really important for pregnant moms to keep their stress levels low, because just being pregnant is a stressor unto itself. It's very hard to be pregnant on your body, on your everything. financially knowing what a baby coming in is a stressor. Worried about the baby's health is a stressor. So having anything external on top of that is not going to be healthy for the baby. Stress in teens. Teen time is an increase in cortisol. So one of the ways that cortisol gets activated even more is with inadequate sleep and nutrition. And when we talk about inadequate sleep, it's really interesting because school officials don't take that into account. I don't know how many of you guys, but I know in my district that our high school starts super early and our elementary school, it starts the latest. Is that the truth for the majority of you guys?
Yeah, that's how it was. So, like the
Anybody
elementary
else?
school starts at like 9:30 or something like
Right.
that.
So proven fact that it should be reversed. Younger kids can handle earlier in the morning, and as you get older, it's better to push school back later. Now, I know why they do it, Adrian. They do it because of sports and all the after school activities versus elementary school, which doesn't have the same after school activities. But it's proven fact that as you get older, you need more of that sleep. So they really should push back school times and have high school start the latest, because it's been proven 100 times over that the teens need the more sleep in the morning. When they studied, they did this, they pushed back the school times from 7:35. Let's say high school. So instead of going at 7:35, they pushed the time back to 8:55 in a bunch of school districts. And then they did a study on it. And they had a 70% decrease in car accidents with drivers 16 to 18 in those districts by pushing back the school time. So that should just be a little indication about how your reaction time when driving is affected by your sleep. And I think you guys probably all know that with yourselves, that if you're really tired, you just don't think clearly and you're not able to react the same. And the same goes with adults with cortisol. Adults that have an increase in stress hormone and increase in cortisol, they don't think clearly. Their memory is impaired. When you're in a very stressful situation, you just can't think clearly, which is why these shows like Jeopardy and things like that, these are people that actually do an amazing job of managing their stress level. Because think about you guys being on a show like Jeopardy on television where you have to answer things really quickly. If you're stressed, you can't remember. So think about these, when you watch these shows again, think about how good these people are coping with their stress of being on that show. So what we're talking about right now is psychoneuroimmunology. So we're talking about the study of the relationship among psychological factors like coping and emotions, the nervous system, and the immune system functioning. That's what this all is, everything coming together. When we don't deal with stress, we experience burnout. Burnout is the emotional, mental, and physical fatigue that results in reduced motivation, enthusiasm, and performance. So I don't think that this is like too much of a news flash for you. I think that you know that if you don't handle things that you will burn out. So this is where we're going to come to a game called Name That Stress Reliever. I am going to hold up a scrambled word. and you are going to name that stress reliever. So every one of these answers is going to be a stress reliever. I am going to keep score, and there will be a prize. So who's ready for name that stress reliever? I would suggest you all take yourselves off of mute so that you can answer first, because the person that answers first is going to get the point. So is it Michaela that doesn't have Reagan? Reagan, you don't have a microphone, so you're gonna have to type in. I mean, hopefully you'll type in before somebody answers, but Michaela, Jake, Anisha, if you guys want to get points, Tori, Sager, all you guys, if you want to get off of mute to get those points. Name that stress reliever.
Mine's working now. I don't know why, but I think I just had to update.
Okay. All right. Here comes the first stress reliever.
I also have a quick question.
Okay, in a second. Name that stress reliever.
Exercise.
Good job. Was that Carol?
Yeah.
Okay. She's on the board. See, it's not hard. Who had a question?
Never mind, my question was just answered.
Oh, okay. All right. Here comes your next stress reliever.
Meditation.
Yes. Bryce, that was you?
Yes.
Okay. Name that stress reliever. Anyone? Come on, name that stress reliever. Take a guess.
Gorney? Oh, I don't know.
I don't know what that word is. Carol, did you say something? Or are you just laughing at Jake? I'll give you a hint. Starts with an R. Starts with an R. Stress reliever. Come on, guys. You might go on Saturday, you might go on Friday nights, you might go on Sundays.
Is there religion?
Yes, it is. Jake, what did you say?
I don't even
So
remember.
religion is a stress reliever. We're going to talk about all of these things as being stress relievers. All right, here comes. Sometimes this can cause stress, but most of the time it's a stress reliever.
Is it relationship?
Yes, Michaela's on the board. All right, Carol's got 2. You all have 1. You got to catch up. All right, next one, stress reliever.
Relaxation.
Yes,
I was
Carol's.
about to say it.
She beat you by a second. All right, last one. I think I might have said it. All right, last stress reliever.
Nutrition.
Yes. But Carriel has 3. She is our winner of Name That Stress Reliever. Carriel, Dunkin' or Starbucks?
Dunkin'.
All right. All right. Good job, guys. All right. So those were all stress relievers. We are talking about coping. Coping is the cognitive, behavioral, and emotional ability used to manage something that is perceived as difficult or challenge. So coping is whether it's the thinking or the way you handle it, or your emotional ability to manage that stress. That's what we're talking about with coping. So you do what's known as an appraisal, which is your assessment of a situation, right? And you assess whether that could be something challenging or positive, and then how you respond to it is part of it. So coping, you could be problem focused in your coping. That's when a person deals directly with a problem by attempting to solve and address it head on. Thank goodness for YouTube videos. Something breaks in your house. What do? You go to a YouTube video. That's problem focused coping, and you figure out how to fix it, right? We do that all the time. Thank goodness. Emotion focused coping is how it makes you feel. So you address the emotion that surrounds the problem. Instead of actually solving the problem, you think about how you feel about it. Did your sink get clogged? Well, you could go to YouTube, problem focused, and figure out a way to fix your sink. Or do you beat yourself up because you clogged the sink? That is what you have to address. So after a while, you can emotion focus cope with, it was an accident. It could happen to anybody, and it's fixable. So your personality plays a role in your coping. Your personality plays a role. If you're a type A personality where you're very competitive and aggressive and impatient, which is known as a cardiac personality, you're not as great as coping as a type B who is relaxed, patient. Somebody who's relaxed and patient is going to be able to cope better. If you're a type D personality, the D stands for distress. That is somebody who's a worrywart. That is somebody who has a lot of bad moods and tension. They're not good at coping either. And people that are type D have a tendency to get sick too, because they are not a coping personality. So let's talk about personal control. You have it's a guy named Rotter came up with this. It's called locus of control. Let me, where's my, there it is. Hold on. Okay, so Rotter came up with this locus of control. Okay, and so you have two different types of locus of control. You have an internal locus of control or an external locus of control. And we might have talked about this in another chapter, where if you have an internal locus of control, then you take responsibility for your actions. You take the good with the bad, and that is it's a better coping mechanism. If you have an external locus of control, then you feel that things happen because they were destined, that it was fate, that things happened by chance, and then that you don't have control. So if you don't feel like you have control, then you also don't have the feeling that you can cope, that you can take control of the situation. So locus or personal control plays a role in your stress level. So stress relievers, we talked about nutrition. Having good nutrition will not only affect, now we did say that there are some physical illness that can happen because of your nutrition, but and we mostly talk about the fact that having poor nutrition will affect you physically. So, but nutrition, eating good food for you actually makes you feel better. So it is a stress reliever. Exercise is a stress reliever. Your neurotransmitters get activated and they make you feel good. You know that you've heard of dopamine, you've heard about runner's high. We've talked about that. That is where you actually, if you exercise 30 minutes per day, you actually can cope with stress better. Relaxation, which is, they've actually done studies using biofeedback where they can hook you up and check to see if relaxation helps you. And they do say that muscle relaxation is a coping mechanism. So for yourselves, if you find that you're really tense or stressed out about something, you can do that simple exercise where you progressively muscle relax. I can do it really quickly for you. So we're going to start at your toes right now. And I'm going to tell you to clench your toes and release. And then we're going to do it on your feet. So do whatever you can to tighten your feet and relax. Now we're going to do it with your calves. Tense your calves and release. Do your knees. Tense your knees and release. Now your thighs. Tense your thighs and release. So you understand where I'm going with this? If you do this for yourself, you will relax. So it doesn't have to be just about stress. If you're having a hard time falling asleep, that might be an exercise, and you go right up to the top of your head to actually relax your muscles. It works. Social supports, the word relationships. Relationships is actually a social support that is a coping mechanism, because you actually get as much, you do as well giving as receiving. Okay, so when you give, it's called altruism, and that is an amazing stress reliever. Okay, so especially in relationships and social support, it's that two-way street, receiving and giving. And faith, religion, and prayer is a coping mechanism. So when we talk about coping mechanisms, we're talking about positive psychology. We're talking about positive emotions and positive character traits. So a really good coping mechanism is positive psychology. Some other coping mechanisms is mindfulness and meditation. So actually going inward and acknowledging how you feel and being able to address it, which is that mindfulness leads us to what you're doing for your homework. So basically your homework, your assignment, is an exercise in mindfulness. So you are going to, again, one of the three options is either do the list about what kind of things you did. Were they time wasters? What are your strategies? That's mindfulness. Your second one, if you choose to do it, is what you accomplished and what's a good way for time management, mindfulness. And then a summary of strategy that you can use to help your stress is mindfulness. So your assignment is actually an exercise in mindfulness. Do I have any questions?
No.
No? Anybody? Questions? All right. So you guys are ready to go. Make sure you're getting your second article for your paper, which is due in 2 weeks, and work on that stress level, Michaela and Stephanie. Oh, there's Stephanie. Okay, Michaela and Stephanie, you got to work on your stress levels. I will see you next Tuesday. Bye.
Bye, Professor.
Have a good day.
Bye.